Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Been a couple of weeks having to relearn how to do all this. It is great to see you all. Welcome to the Speakers Collaborative studio session. I'm excited about our guest today. Before I bring Karen on, I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that at the speakerscollaborative.com, we have launched our studio session stage 1 mini course. That is a 6-module course for those of you who are interested in getting into public speaking and want to know what we do at the Speakers Collaborative. So I invite you to go to thespeakerscollaborative.com, check out our program, and drop us a couple of bucks, and you've got a really great 6-module mini course that you all can take advantage of. Today, I'm really excited to have my friend Karen Grill. I say my friend, I met Karen very recently, but she's got some really great things ahead of her, and she's going to spend some time with us today just letting us know everything she does and probably sharing a bunch of wisdom. Karen, welcome.
Hi, Cody. Great to be here with you.
It is so good to have you. Thank you for agreeing to be here. Welcome to the Speakers Collaborative. So why don't you take a minute and tell us who you are?
Sure. So I'm Karen Grill. I am a business coach and funnel strategist. So I try to help people who maybe have started their businesses, worked with clients, but are realizing they need to leverage their time and the things that they've created. And so I help them do that with funnels and email. And I love working with the service providers, coaches, consultants.
That is awesome. Where are you from?
I live in the Washington, D.C. area, but I grew up in Wisconsin.
Nice. That's a bit of a temperature difference, I guess, in the wintertime for you.
Yeah. Much prefer this. Yep.
You prefer the muggy in the summer over the frigid in the winter?
Well, I go in the summer to Wisconsin and come here in the winter, so it works out.
Well, that makes a ton of sense. Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us today. So you said you are a funnel strategist and you work with coaches. Tell us much more broadly what that means.
Mm-hmm. So, I started working as a business coach and I worked with a lot of different types of people, coaches and consultants, service providers in general. And it all kind of boiled down to one thing. They all had trouble selling, conveying what they did, being able to tell their audience, what they offered. And I realized a lot of that came down both to kind of technical aspects, but also kind of copy. So I do a lot of work with them, making sure they have everything optimized from the technical standpoint, but also everything optimized from the copy, making sure they're really resonating with their audiences.
Awesome. How do you decide the most appropriate copy for that client?
Mm-hmm. So it's really about understanding who their audience is, right? So that's the beginning of everything. And I will tell you that a lot of times, not everybody really understands their audience.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really about understanding kind of their pain points, which a lot of people talk about, but also understanding the language they use to describe what their problem is. So a lot of times we think as experts in our head, oh, I know what they think. But we actually don't describe it the way they describe it. So it's really about listening to what they're saying and then being able to use that in our copy. And it makes for a much more powerful messaging.
I can't tell you how many times I have met with a prospective client, told them what I did, and they said, that sounds good, but what I really need is this. And I'm thinking, that's exactly what I just told you I did. So really valuable service that you provide in terms of translating from the expert head into the consumer voice. I think that's really important. How did you get into this?
So like I said, so I started my first online business like over 15 years ago, working with patent attorneys. And I learned so much, but I also struggled a lot. I struggled with productivity. I struggled with, presenting my offer to people. And so I got my first coach. And that really set me down the pathway of learning, all about coaching, really benefiting from the coach. And so I became my own coach. I worked for a long time with mom entrepreneurs. But the more I worked with people, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, I saw that there was some kind of misalignment. So they weren't reaching the people that I knew were ideal clients for them, but they just weren't resonating with what they were offering. And so I just found that as I got deeper and deeper, I really wanted to be able to help people with this aspect.
That is really cool. Do you have what we call an ICP, an ideal client profile?
So I do. Mine's slightly different in that I can work with any service provider. I don't really work with products, but service providers, but they have to have worked with clients. Like they have to have some understanding with their clients for us to be able to understand and then translate that. So it can't be kind of new entrepreneurs. It's really more service providers. And because I'm a coach and I've been a coach, I work with a lot of coaches, but I work with accountants. Brand people. I work with a lot of different types.
Awesome. What is your I'll save that question for later. Well, it's one of the things that I love to do. We are the Speakers Collaborative. We provide a stage for people to talk, to share their wisdom, share from their hearts. And so what we like to do every week when we have a studio session is I'm going to leave the stage and I'm going to give you 5 to 7 minutes to just share your heart, share your wisdom, and talk to our audience and talk to your audience. And so if no other questions remain, I'll see you in about 5 to 7 minutes.
Sounds great. Well, I always joke that I'm not like the funnel bros. I don't wear gold chains. I don't drive Lamborghinis. But what I try to do is break down the idea of the funnel for people. So many people come to me and say, Karen, I don't have a funnel. I don't need a funnel. But when you actually look, they have a funnel. I mean, a funnel is just really your customer's journey in your business. So a lot of people on LinkedIn will have a link to have a call. Well, that's a mini funnel. So I think when you start to understand that funnels really are a part of your business, you probably just haven't identified them. And since you haven't, you probably haven't optimized them. So I think once we start to realize what the funnel is and what it can do for us, that you can really excel in your business. And I like to think of funnels as both kind of an art and a science. So I definitely see people who are numbers people and they're super in tune to their funnels, like the numbers that they're getting, what the conversions are, the people landing on their pages. But a lot of times they don't have that more creative aspect in terms of persuading them. They don't understand the copy part. And so I have to work with them on that. But then we have the super creative people who are great with their graphics and great with their copy and how to explain that to their clients, but they don't like to look at the numbers. So I feel like it's a combination of those two. The art and the science of funnels is how you get the best results. And that's what I love to work with my clients on. So it's both kind of setting it up technically. So a lot of people have are a little afraid of tech. So I help break that down for them and set that up in the simplest way possible. And then we work on the persuasion part. And this is a little bit more challenging just because you really have to dig in. You have to be willing to talk to people. I think so many people think AI can do this for us now to really understand what our clients want, but really you need to talk to real people. Listen to every word they say, really write down how they describe their problems, their issues, so that then if you can mimic that copy back to them, they will say, oh my gosh, you totally understand me. And they will see you as the right person for them. So I hope that I can encourage everyone to actually talk to who they think their ideal clients are. And a lot of people say, well, Karen, I'll just hire someone to do the funnel. I'll hire someone to do the email for me. The problem is, I really believe you have to know enough. Meaning that you have to know enough about, let's say it's Facebook ads. You have to know enough so that, let's say your person gets sick, who's during a launch, you have to know enough to be able to step in and really look and be able to keep it going. So you don't have to know every little detail about Facebook ads, but you have to know enough to actually launch them. And that's why I think it's so important for people to know enough so that they can evaluate the people they hire as well. So many people hire people but have no idea whether they're doing a good job or not. So I think as business owners, we have to really be smart. Make sure you understand enough about whatever you're trying to do, whatever part of your venture. And then once you know something, you can then hand it off. So I hope that people will start to look at their businesses and think about their customer journey. They'll start to think about where they actually do have funnels in their business. They'll start to look at optimizing the different things that they have instead of always creating new things. I think that's a big mistake people make. They create new things, but really haven't sold anything, so they don't know what the issues are. So really look at what you have in your business and first start with optimizing that. And then if you think you want to add on something different, so maybe it's a course or maybe it's a different kind of program, then you can move to that because you already have insights from when you did your optimization of your first part. So I hope you'll take that to heart and you'll start working on your funnels, you'll start working on your emails and really thinking about it from the aspect of your ideal client.
That was great. I love it.
Helpful, Cody? I hope that helps some people out.
It was helpful for me. I'm sure it was helpful for you. So you don't just stick with one platform. You talked about LinkedIn. You mentioned Facebook a couple of times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I really help people where they are. So I'm not attached to any particular platform. I look at what they have, what I think would be the best and simplest way to move forward. That's usually the key. Mm-hmm. So that if they already have an email platform, let's work from there and see what integrates with that so that I'm not giving them new programs that they're going to have to learn and not feel comfortable with. So we work where they are. I'll, of course, make recommendations, but I definitely think that we want them to start simple and start where they are.
That's awesome. How long does a client typically work with you?
So I definitely have different kinds of ways to work with me. I have one-on-one clients who I've worked with for many years. So a lot of times, they'll launch things a couple times a year. So it's kind of before the launch, during the launch, and after the launch, we're kind of optimizing things as we go. But then I have other people who come and I will just help them set up their email list, for instance, right? So it can be small or big projects. I really like them all. And it's fun because each client is different, their business is different, their clients are different, and how they set things up is different. So for me, that's fun.
That's awesome. Do you have a team or is it just you?
I have some people that I work with, but it's mostly me. I really like to be hands-on with my clients. And again, really understanding who their clients are, their kind of ideal client profile. It's really important to really understand and work with them to understand that. So that's why I like to do that.
So when I come to Karen Grill, I get Karen Grill.
You definitely get me.
That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, I've just this last week launched another course on the Speakers Collaborative, and I would be interested to know, what you would suggest my next step is. The course is live. I've done it on social media. What should I do next?
So, after you've had it, going for a little while, that's when you sit down and kind of look at all the numbers. So you're going to look at, kind of where you've shared it, what the engagement was. If you can track, I don't know if you set up tracking to see where they're coming from. So, like, oh, everyone, is buying it from LinkedIn, or maybe you have other sources. So really looking at where the traffic is coming from so we can optimize that for the future. Oh, wow, LinkedIn's a great place for me. I just need to talk about it more. I need to do more there. And then kind of optimize, the whole flow. So I definitely am a tester. So I would test everything, make sure every link works and see, are people getting stuck somewhere? Is there something that we maybe need to add to help them? Maybe it's a, intro video or something to help them along the way to make sure that they, the problem with courses is that people don't finish them. So what can we do to optimize that so they actually finish the course and actually implement? Because we want to get some testimonials and case studies from that as well. So we really want to help them get through the whole thing and then get those at the end. So it's kind of looking at each stage and trying to optimize that.
Yeah, I designed them to be very short, so you can finish the entire thing in an hour. I call it a mini course.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really short. Let's switch gears a minute. What are you reading these days?
So I just finished the 10X is easier than 2X. Have you read that? Yeah. A lot of people have read that.
3 here.
Wow. Yeah.
And I will send them to anybody who wants them. So if you want a copy, one of these copies of 10X is easier than 2X, send it to me. What was the main takeaway you had from this book?
Mm-hmm. I just think it's such a good reminder that, we should really focus. So they talk a lot about how try to, figure out your goal, think about the steps, and then just do the 20% that's going to get you there, kind of release all the other distractions and things around it and really focus on that and, kind of build that around your unique abilities. So I really liked kind of that aspect of the book.
Yeah, that Pareto principle. You focus on the 20% and offload the 80 that's not the most productive. That is hard for those of us who are solos, right?
Yeah, it is hard. And especially if you've been someone, it could be in corporate as well. You did a lot of different things and you kind of just did it all because there wasn't anybody else to do it. So I think it is really working on getting that focus and realizing that by cutting that away, you're going to make much faster progress than if we try to do it all ourselves.
That's right. And you'll grow exponentially faster. 10X.
Exactly. 10X. Yep.
The title says 10X. So what's next on your reading list?
I just picked up Bumpers. Have you heard of that by Nick Peterson?
No.
So, it's kind of, I'm trying to remember what his tagline is. It's like a framework for abundance, productivity, profits, and kind of your highest quality of life. So I think we can all do those things. I think sounds like the next great book.
I would love that. Yeah. Bumpers. I'm going to have to get that one. I just finished another one, Radical Humility.
Oh.
It fell to the floor when I pulled those books out. So it's Be a Badass Leader and a Good Human. It's by Urs Koenig, who is a really great leadership author. He was a Special Forces, a NATO peacekeeper in Kosovo, lives in Seattle. And it's a really good book about radical humility and also great leadership. A lot of people are under the misimpression that you can't be a great, goal-shattering leader and humble at the same time. And his approaches dispels all of that. So I highly recommend that one.
That's great. Have you read Influence by Cialdini, The Psychology of Persuasion?
It has been a while, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I definitely think that's an important book, especially for those of us who are solopreneurs and we're trying to kind of learn about persuasion and how to present our offers. I think that's kind of a cornerstone book for me.
Hmm. I need to stop saying, I talk to people in my classes all the time about verbal tics, and then I start with, every time. My challenge with the Speakers Collaborative is really talking about what it is. When I get one-on-one with a potential client, they're sold. I
Right.
have a minute to tell it, but it's getting in front of those clients and really working on my pitch and working on getting in front of my client to get those one-on-one conversations. I loved having one-on-one conversations. That's no problem for me. It really is getting the audience. So I'm going to have to read that book again. It's been a while, but I try to do a book a week.
Oh, wow. Great. I'm not quite that fast, but that's really good.
Excuse me. So what questions do you have for us?
Well, one thing I was wondering, so I mean, I know you've been a lawyer, and do you think that, being a lawyer, the education and even the work that you did helped you or hindered you in becoming kind of a speaker?
It helped. It helped. Let me tell you why. So what most people don't understand about law school, unless they're lawyers or have, been a semester or two, is law school doesn't really tell you how to be a lawyer. It changes the way you think.
Mm-hmm.
And it changes the way that you approach situations. Most people don't get out of law school and feel like they can practice law. And if they do, they're quickly told otherwise. We all learn how to practice law. You've worked with lawyers your whole career.
Yeah.
We learn how to practice law by practicing. That's why they call it practice, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing that law school and being a lawyer did for me was it taught me how to talk. It taught me how to think on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
The way that they teach in law school is the Socratic method, largely, where you're called on and you have to give a talk in class. And so you have to be prepared. You also have to be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the reasons probably half the lawyers are great public speakers is because they can be nimble. They can rationalize an argument, and they can be brief. I would say the other half of the lawyers can't do any of those, and they're terrible public speakers. But yeah, I think it helped. I also practiced in an area where I was in-house counsel, and I was tasked with delivering talks quite often.
Uh-huh.
So yes, law school prepared me. Yes, practicing law prepared me, but then being in-house and being the speaker oftentimes prepared me even more. Mm-hmm. But in all of that, I had to get training, and I had to learn the techniques that I teach and really perfect the way that I deliver a conversation. And I call them talks and conversations. I don't call them speeches.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
And kind of what was the impetus then to start the Speakers Collective? I mean, I think it's a great idea for so many people.
Yeah, it's a great question. The Speakers Collaborative really started out of my own personal need. When I went out on my own, I didn't have any content. And, part of what I promote myself as is I spent 20 years on stage speaking, and I came away with zero content. And so when I went out to market myself as a speaker on my own, I had no proof. Nobody could go anywhere and watch me give a talk or anything. And so I started the Speakers Collaborative with the need to get my own content. I had a couple of other people join me. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about life is I realized during the very first production of the collaborative that the reason I did it was not the reason I was going to keep doing it.
Interesting.
When I did get my content, I found this product that people were hungry for, because public speaking is a chicken and egg thing. You have to have content to market yourself, and you have to have a stage to get the content, and you can't get one without the other. And that's the place that I filled. And then just this year, I've expanded it into a cohort style where we have a 2-month cohort for people who aren't new speakers.
Okay.
I don't take people who I say I don't take people. I very rarely accept people who have stage fright or want to give it a whirl or whatever. They've done a little bit of speaking. Mm-hmm. They're ready to take it to the next level. And so for those 2 months, we don't focus on how to give a talk. We focus on the details. We go even deeper into things from very strategic dressing, how to be present on stage, how to use your body, things that people don't normally focus on when they're trying to be a speaker. But at the end of the day, if you come to me as a speaker, then we polish you. And not just a speaker, but an impactful, in-demand speaker. And then we have the final product, which is the fully produced stage show. I call it a show, stage show, where our speakers are on stage in front of a live studio audience. It's live streamed. They get feedback, they get headshots, they get all of the media that they need, they get publicity, they get everything to launch their career. And so the really long-winded answer to your question is, I started it because I needed it, and I keep going because it's something that I can provide to people who are ready to launch their careers. And to be honest, my cohort price is about a third of the going rate for a program like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So who is your ideal client then?
That's a great question. I love to say everybody, but my coaches tell me that is a horrible answer. So I focus right now on thought leaders, anybody who has a platform that they're trying to promote. Obviously, the thought leaders who want to be public speakers, authors who have a book that they want to promote.
Okay.
And right now, from a passion perspective, mental health advocates are on my list as well. And I distinguish them from thought leaders for a couple of reasons. One, because I really want to call out that subset of public advocates, give them a stage. And then two, because a thought leader could be a thought leader on, business development or funnels, right? And that, I don't want that to get lost in the mix. The other thing, Karen, that I really want to make sure is that when we do those stage productions in front of a live audience, that we have a diversity of conversation and topic, so that the audience doesn't get bored with 6 talks about funnels. We need one talk about funnels. We need one talk about cancer survival. We need one talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, that's great. I love what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Tell me, how can people find you?
So I am on LinkedIn quite a bit. I think Cody and I know each other from a group from there. So definitely on LinkedIn. My website, KarenGirl.com. I am on Facebook and Instagram, but I definitely spend most of my time on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And what would you tell somebody who is on the fence? Let's say that they're your ideal client and they're seasoned in their work and they need to go to that next level. What would you say to them to get them off the fence into your email?
So a lot of times it's, if I can leverage you some more time back in your business so you can focus on what you love to do, whether that's coaching or what you're an expert in, then let me take over. Yep, exactly. Let me take over the funnel aspect so you can do what you do best.
That is really cool. Well, we have a few more minutes. Anything you want to share with the group beyond that?
I think I get a lot of questions about email marketing, and I've been doing a lot about that. There are a lot of changes this year. So if you have an email list, you're thinking of starting an email list, make sure you really understand what's entails. So many people kind of jump in, and before you could do that with the new kind of protocols and things this year, you have to be a little more careful. So make sure you educate yourself on email marketing so that you're not caught spending all this time and energy into writing emails for your list and then them not getting delivered. I hate to see people, especially solopreneurs, wasting time on things that aren't bringing an ROI, or in this case, not even getting delivered. So make sure that you've set up your email correctly, that you're following all the current rules so that all the effort you put into it, you're going to get some results from that.
That's great. Do you have an ideal size email list before you start pushing out content?
No, I mean, I think, you start from where you are. So I think, if you're on a platform, a social media platform, obviously trying to drive traffic to sign up for your email list. But I'm a big advocate in starting with the content so that you start to see what resonates with them, right? And as your list grows, that might change as well. So it's kind of up to the first, for sure, 1,000. you're really kind of testing and optimizing the whole way to really figure out, okay, what is this audience that I'm building? A lot of times at first it's your friends and things. So they're maybe not your ideal clients. So we don't want to optimize for that, right? So we definitely want to start to grow that. But as you start to grow, that's when you're going to start to figure out this content really resonates. This is what people want to hear from me. And then you can do more of that. And that way you'll get better results, you'll get better open rates, and then hopefully conversion rates as well.
Awesome. I'm just thinking about how many I have in mind. Not 1,000. I need to work on that one.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'm saying. Since the rules changed this year, like this Black Friday is going to be the first that we've ever had these email marketing rules. So make sure you have everything in place. I don't want people sending all these emails and none of them reaching there.
Well, that seems like a waste of time.
Yes, exactly. And we're all about optimizing and making sure we're focusing on the right things. So
optimizing. So when somebody is thinking about 10xing their life and focusing on their 20%, your role for a lot of those folks is to take some of that burden off so they can focus on their 20, correct?
Right, exactly. And you know what I see a lot is people start with one thing and maybe it doesn't do so well. And so they keep creating, which takes a lot of energy. Like it's, the creation of the course that takes the most, then, it's already done. So they keep creating new things. And so in my perspective, they're wasting a lot of time. Whereas I come in, I see what you have, see maybe what we need to optimize. And then from there, you can see, okay, maybe we can have a strategy in creating something new. But I just see them on this kind of roller coaster or the hamster wheel of creating. And that gets exhausting. And especially if you're not seeing results, it can get kind of disheartening. So we want to make sure that we set you up for success. And by doing that, we optimize first, repurpose content, repurpose what you have first, test it out, and then we can move on to something new.
That's really great. All right. One final question.
Yes.
You're in the Washington, D.C. area.
I am. Great
food. Do you have a favorite restaurant?
Oh, wow. There's a couple. Raku is one. It's kind of an Asian fusion one, and I'm in Bethesda. So that's where I definitely like to go.
Awesome. That sounds great. I'm a fan of medium rare.
I like medium rare. Yep.
And I really like Haleo.
Haleo.
These are like, I don't know, maybe cliche DC restaurants, and Le Diplomat.
Well, of course. That's totally DC. Yeah.
Yeah. Who doesn't like it? All right, Karen, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for everything that you have shared with us. I want to encourage everybody to check Karen out at karengrill.com. And check out the Speakers Collaborative at thespeakerscollaborative.com. And until next week, I want to thank you all. Karen, have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me.